Ladies and gentlemen, this is a really special episode of the Danza Project, something that we've been trying to get going for some time. And like I have been more recently, I've been starting off my shows, seems like a lot with like apologies. You know, as I've kind of been, I'm starting to settle in as a podcaster, as a media personality. And as people are starting to get to know me, I really want to let them know who I am and what I'm about. Now, I went into a wild phase of podcasting, and I had a wild guest that kind of kept us a little bit on edge a lot. And my loyalty has always been like, oh, I'm with you. And I tried to get you to sit down with this gentleman on the show. And everything went left for a little bit because it was like, oh, I'm going to make it happen and this and that. And I apologize for trying to force that issue and trying to make that happen because you clearly stated initially it's not something you were looking to do, and I shouldn't have been pushing it. And so for that, I would like to start this episode out with an apology.
No problem, bro. Appreciate it.
Wisdom, growth.
And Dr. Umar is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Now, what's going on, Kato? How you feeling, my brother?
Man, I'm riding on a high, man.
Yeah.
We came back with a vengeance. Last few episodes have just been crazy.
Absolutely.
Topping it off with this and more to come.
Yeah.
We on a roll.
And this is one of them that I kind of been hiding when I speak to people. I'm like, oh, man, I'm telling you, we got a great episode. This episode is going to be phenomenal. So, again, my name is Danza.
Hey, yo, Kato.
And this is the Danza Project, and we have Dr. Umar. Now, before we get into any type of conversation, I want to know where you're at because you're constantly working, and when I mean working, you're doing a lot more than most.
Yes, sir.
Right, like
yes,
it's
sir.
not just the conversations that you're having on podcasts; it's the works that you're doing in the communities,
right?
The conversations that you're having with the youth and with people in general. Where are you at mentally right now? How do you feel?
I guess for me, the one thing that I just want to finalize is the renovations on the FDMG Academy. You know, we've been almost done for so long, and now we're at the floors. But I'm still scared to say we done, because every time I say we done, something else comes up. So, you know, I ain't been saying nothing. My thing is, when it's done, that's when I'll announce it. You know what I mean? I was supposed to go back to the Breakfast Club, and I text Charlamagne. I said, I'm not coming back up there one more time to tell people we almost done. You feel me?
Yeah.
When we done, I'll schedule with you. I'm not going up to Power 105 again until we done. I'm tired of saying it myself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So when we done, that's when I'll do it, man. But we real close. When I fly back home tomorrow, I got to get to the school. They laying the floors now, and once that's done, we'll be applying for our certificate of occupancy. That's going to be interesting because the city has not been our friend. They tried to sell the school behind our back last month for some frivolous expenses that we should not have even owed. So I'm going to stay positive, but I'm not looking forward to the inspection because, you know, they can nitpick you to death on that.
Absolutely.
You know, so when people say when you're going to actually be done, that's not in our hands. We have to see what the city says, you know. But I'm hoping after all we've been through, they just say, go ahead. If it's all in order, just pass him, you know. But that hasn't been the experience. Like everything we've been through with the city has been a fight, you know, even to get a permit for the festival. They ain't want to give us that. You know, so it's really been a tug of war with them. I'm just hoping that we don't have to have a protest. I'm hoping we don't have to take them to court for discrimination. I mean, the bureaucracy is mostly black. The mayor's white, but the bureaucracy is black. But discrimination is discrimination, even if you're the same color. You know, so I'm just, you know, I'm going to just put it in the Lord's hands and see. But we knocking on the finish line. So if all goes well, we should be able to apply for the inspection before the end of the year.
And this is something that most people don't understand in general. Just starting a business is tough, right? And then when you're doing something in the community, it's going to be a lot tougher. When you're dealing with that much square footage, they could find something wrong anywhere. Oh, well, in this corner here. But a lot of people that have never started a business,
Yes.
Have never gotten any type of education, what it's
Nope.
like. They have no
never
idea.
opened a school, never ran a school, but they're experts in our school.
Yeah.
And I don't get into it, but I hear a lot of it because my supporters send me the clips, and I've heard ridiculous things. I heard people say you can get an HVAC for $5,000. That's a $50,000 unit up there, and that was the cheap one. You feel me?
Yeah.
This is not a house. This is a school. You're not getting no HVAC for no $5,000. You know what I mean? Every utility that we had repaired, plumbing, HVAC, electric, every one cost us well over $100,000. Nothing was under $100K for repair. So when I hear people say he could have got this done for $5,000, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a whole nother level. But my thing is, if you never did it, why are you speaking on it? And if you're not doing anything for the people, why are you speaking on it? See, that's my thing.
Definitely
I don't
should
think
be.
people who don't do work could criticize
Qualified.
people who do work.
that's
Now, if you're doing the work, you say, look, I built me a relevant institution. You can speak to it because you did it. We're being questioned and criticized by people who do nothing. And that's why I'm so tight-lipped on it, because I'm like, I don't owe you no answers. On top of the fact you never donated, on top of the fact you never drove by there and picked up a piece of trash, you questioning something that you don't support financially, you questioning something that you've never been a part of in your entire life. You've never been a part of anything that progressive as building an institution. So why are you expecting me to be accountable to you?
And so how do you keep it together? Back to that mental health thing. Like, how do you feel?
I'm going to be honest with you. The haters, the struggle streamers, they really helped toughen me up to the criticism, because we've been dealing with it from the first day we took a donation in St. Louis, Missouri, April of 2014, when the St. Paul's College in Virginia went up for sale, because that's what we wanted. We wanted that HBCU, but they wanted $2 million and we couldn't raise it in time, so they sold it to the Asians, who currently have it now. So then that's when we said, well, we just gonna find us a regular school. So from 2014 till 2019, we school hunted. We found FDMG in 2017, but we couldn't afford it at the time. So we just stayed in negotiations with the owners, and then finally, February 2019, they gave it to us. So 5 years to find a school, which in my opinion, that's not a long time to raise the money and find it. 5 years ain't bad at all. And then you go from 19 to 25, right? So you're looking at 6 years of us renovating. It should have only taken us 2 or 3, but there was a lot of scamming going on with the contractors we were using. We really got done dirty by them. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to use Caucasian work because I wanted to keep the money in the community. The people who gave us the money black, I want to keep the project black. Right. But I had to wake up one day and say, yo, if you're waiting on your people to do this for you, it may not get done. And let me put that in context. You're talking about the second smallest state in the country, right? So you don't have much to pull from anyway. And then the city of Wilmington requires that your contractors be licensed in the state and licensed in the city. So, for example, in Pennsylvania, if you're licensed by the Commonwealth, you can do work anywhere in the state. You got to be licensed in Delaware and then licensed again in Wilmington. You're already dealing with a small pool of available contractors, and then they add that on top. So I say it all the time. We have the best situation in the worst location. And when I say worst location, I'm simply speaking of the limited pool of resources in terms of contractors and the strict stipulations that are required for you to work on a project there. You know, if that same school was in Detroit, Chicago, Philly, we'd be done already, only because you got so many plumbers, you got so many HVAC, you got so many electric. You could go through 30 of them until you hit the right one. But you in the second smallest state, only a handful of black folks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Contractors that you can really, you know, go to. And everybody we used came highly recommended, by the way. We didn't just grab people. These were people say, get him, get them. We got the people we were told to get, and they still didn't do us
But
right.
when the pool is so small
When the pool
and the
is so-
competition
yes,
isn't great, it's
yes.
tough, you know. 'cause-
And we ran into situations where sometimes if I don't take the plumber, the electrician say I can't take the job. You feel me? Because that's my man.
Right.
So since you're not taking him, I can't do it. I'm like, damn, what that got to do with you? I need this. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of that where I like the electrician, don't like the plumber. I like the HVAC guy, don't like the electrician. So, you know, It's networks.
Yeah.
You know, and you're dealing with a really small city and you are outsider coming from Philly. I had to deal with some of that too. You know what I mean? Because even though I get a lot of love in Wilmington and a lot of love across Delaware, you still got them people say, we don't need him here. You know what I mean? We don't need no big city dude coming down here. We can handle our own business. But I'm not here for you. I'm here for the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people say, why did you choose Wilmington? And I like Wilmington. I love the energy there. I really do. But people say, why did you choose Wilmington? I didn't choose Wilmington. I chose the school that was in Wilmington. In other words, we wasn't shopping for cities. We shopping for building. And that had the best building that we found. We should have been in Detroit. But once the Archdiocese found out who I was, they wouldn't sell me none of the schools. I knew we was in Detroit. Me and my mother was preparing to move to Detroit. I said, Mom, we going to Detroit. We out. It's going to be cold. She said, I don't care. Let's go. And then the Jewish realtor for the Archdiocese, and I thought that was interesting, that the Archdiocese had a Jew, because if you understand that history, but he said they want to see your curriculum. I said, we buying the school cash money. What you need to see my curriculum for? This ain't no charter school. You follow what I'm saying? This ain't no lease.
Right.
I'm buying and we done. What you want to know what I'm teaching for? I said, you can't get that.
Do they think you're pushing religion? Is it a religious thing? Like, where's the pushback in that city?
I think it's just that they knew who I was and wasn't going to sell. And guess what? Every school in Detroit that we wanted, still sitting there. So that's why I tell people you got to understand that when it comes to white people, they're more about power than money.
Yeah.
If they was about the money, they would have sold us the building. They all there. They was about the control. We don't want him teaching that. You feel me? We rather
and
not
there's
make
a reason
the money.
Why Detroit looks like Detroit.
Yes. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, I learned so much in the school hunt. I remember I was going to lease a school in Mount Vernon, New York, Catholic school, and the supervisor said, I got to call the Vatican. I said, what? He said, I said, you got to call Rome? He said, I got to call Rome. I said, why you got to call Rome? He said, what did he say? He said about half the Catholic schools in America are still managed directly from the Vatican. He had to call the Vatican and ask if he could lease the school to Dr. Umar, and of course they said, hell no. Yeah, so. And he also told me that the Vatican is the second largest property owner either in the United States or in the world. I didn't know that. White boy was dropping all these jewels on me. He said, we own much property. I didn't know that either. So that's crazy. So when you hear about that, United States, London, Rome Connect, that's real. Them 3 city-states that don't answer to nobody, that's very real. That's very real.
It's very interesting how you mentioned about the contracting.
Yeah.
Right? Because, people could say whatever the hell they want. When you go into that, it's tough. I got a lot of friends that are into real estate, and I'm from a city, Buffalo, New York. It's another small city similar to the way Detroit operates.
Yes, sir.
And, they'll get contractors, they'll get it all set up, and the job is done terribly.
Yep.
And it's just war.
Yep.
It's just like, okay, well, what do I do about this? Now we gotta rip it out.
Yep.
It's just a thing that most people don't have a clue about.
They have no clue about it. And then when somebody don't finish their work, so let's say the electricians don't finish their work, you got to get another electrician.
Come behind.
No contractor, what I saw, they never want to say the previous contractor did a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, we got to do it over. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't build from where they slept. Nah, they didn't do that. Nobody was able to say we could pick up where they started. You know what I mean? The plumbers, nah, they didn't do this right. And I know they did it right, but you just want to get paid the full thing. Yeah.
Whole project.
So we had to deal with that, But the white folks, they did it. They charged us up. They overcharged us, but at least they finished the job. You know what I mean? So that's where we at. And then you have people say, well, if he's on his Pan-Africanism and his Garveyism platform, why would he let white people do the work? You have to distinguish and differentiate between charity and business. We don't accept donations from non-Africans, right? But if I have to pay a non-African to do a job, that's business. That's not a handout. They're not volunteering. They're not giving us nothing. We're paying them to do a job. You see, it's like if I have a store and a white person comes in and buys from my store, that's no contradiction. That's business. But if I got white folks coming in there financing me, that's a contradiction, you see. So people say, well, that's a contradiction. You got white folks doing the work. That's called business, bro. That's just business. fee for service. It's not a handout.
Fair exchange.
Now, if they was financing us, that would be a contradiction because you give up your sovereignty with them.
And so how do you keep it together? Because that sounds
mean,
extremely stressful.
I tell you how I keep it together. Number one, I believe I was born to do the work that I do.
Okay.
That's the priority. The number one, people say, how you keep going through this. Somebody texted me today when I was on my way here. They said, I'm trying to understand how you continue to keep going after everything people throw at you. Like your bounce back game is crazy. You know what I mean? And for me, I know I was born to do what I'm doing. When you know why you here, you can put up with any what. It's not a thing where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be building no school. You feel me? I don't have that.
No doubt.
I know I'm supposed to do it, so I got to deal with whatever comes with it. So number one, I know I'm doing the work I was born to do. That's number one. Number two, I've never cared about what people thought too much. You know what I mean? Like some people, they gotta be viewed positively by outsiders. I don't.
They want to be liked.
I don't care what people think or what people say. And I believe my popularity had a lot to do with that too, because I'm just going to tell you the truth. I don't know if it's going to hurt your feelings. I don't know if you're going to like it. I don't know if you're going to love it, but I'm going to be honest. And I think people have grown to appreciate the honesty of my message, because I get people stop me in the airport all the time. I don't agree with everything you say, you know what I mean? But you're consistent. Whereas a lot of these other guys out here who claim to be into the conscious movement, they not consistent. They'll flip-flop. 1 minute they this, 1 minute they this, 1 minute they this, based on what gets the attention, what gets the money. Mm. I've never capitulated my position. You know what I mean? And I think thirdly, you know, I practice Yoruba spirituality. And in Yoruba spirituality, you know, you're born with a guardian angel, guardian spirit. Mine is Ogun. Ogun is the spirit of war, iron, perseverance, determination. Don't quit. Work hard.
Come on.
That's my guardian spirit. You feel me? So I got to keep going. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that's how I'm able to put up with it.